Hi, this is Paul Hoyt, CEO of Ascending Harvest, bringing you our daily progress update, along with my best buddy, business partner, a resident inventor genius here at Ascending Harvest, Shane McKenna. Today we're going to talk about a little bit of the progress of our crowdfunding campaign and invite you to participate, for the first time or again if you've already participated once or twice. And we're going to talk about a very interesting topic that Shane brought up a few minutes ago that I'm going to let him introduce to you. So Shane, say hello to the folks.
Hello, everyone. I hope that you're having a fantastic day. We are excited to be here talking to you live on our daily Zoomcast. And let's have ourselves a great time and talk about some things that are interesting. And as always, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to shoot them over to me on Facebook or to Paul, and we'll try and get those included in our program.
I love that. We would like this to be very interactive. I've done live stream and a lot of different webinars and seminars before where there was a little more interaction. We'd certainly like to see it here. We know you can't tune in every day, but you can also, by the way, publish or post your questions in the chat log of any one of these Zoomcasts, and we'll see it and we'll answer it, the next time that we get a chance to do that. So interact with us. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you didn't like. Tell us what you agreed with. Tell us what you didn't agree with, and we'll have a conversation. Unlike many in Washington, D.C., we're quite able to actually have a conversation with people who disagree with us in some way. I was talking to Shane a little bit earlier, and I said I just can't imagine ever having an argument with him. I can imagine having a disagreement where he wants to go one way and I want to go another way, or we see things differently and we have different ideas and perspectives. But I don't think that ever needs to go to the point of an argument, and certainly never to the point of calling people names and belittling somebody in some way just because they have reached a different conclusion, or they have a different life experience, or they have a different perspective. So I guess Shane and I can model the political environment that we would like to see, and we invite you to do the same. So chime in here. Which is a lot different than what we have seen. Let's talk about the crowdfunding campaign real quickly. We're about halfway through the first 30 days of our crowdfunding campaign. We're only about 30% of goal, maybe 40% of goal. I'd like to be at 100 or 200% of goal by now. We are reaching out to celebrities, philanthropists, bloggers, influencers, other people with large lists, and getting them to share with their social media network. So we still are expecting to meet our goal of 27.5 or dramatically exceed that goal should we take off. The key to taking off is repeated messages to the digital community out there, and that's where we really need your support. Share this Zoomcast recording with your network, because every time that you share a post or share somebody else's post, it doesn't mean that they actually see it. As I was talking to a Facebook expert the other day, he said the best thing you can do is share in a group, because group notifications seem to have a lot more popularity or get a lot more emphasis from Facebook than do individual posts. So if you have a group that you can share this Zoomcast into, please do that, because that will get greater visibility. And if you have given before to our campaign, thank you very much. Go back and give another buck. Just $1 only takes you just a couple of minutes or less to do that, and keep the momentum going so that we can have our very best chance of hitting our goal as early as possible. And thank you for that. Thank you for everybody who's contributed. Thank you for everybody who shared. We certainly do appreciate it. Please do it again. Today, we were talking about what we were going to talk about today, and Shane had suggested a particular topic, and I'm eager to chat about that as well, but I'm going to let Shane introduce the topic and talk about it for a while. Take it over, Shane.
Yeah, so I thought it would be interesting to talk about finding and following your passions. There's a lot of people that you're probably connected with, or that you see, that they seem to have found that thing that just really sparks them, and they have figured out a way to follow it. There was a I can't recall his name because it's been too many years ago, but there was a guy who worked for a production facility here locally, and I remember him saying, I'm going to figure out how to make a living fishing. And so he had invented a type of fishing lure. I guess they're called a spoon lure. I'm not a big fisherman, so I really don't know that much about it, but he had figured out a specialty lure that's a spoon for going after really big trout in places like Flaming Gorge and Lake Powell. And he started manufacturing these spoons, and he was so excited because he got to write off his fishing trips as research. But, you know, there's just a really simple example of somebody finding something that they really love and building a business around it. And it doesn't have to be a business. I mean, there's lots of ways to follow your passion. You find people who sing in a choir. You find people who volunteer in their community. There's people who are runners and, you know, all kinds of different hobbies that you can get involved in that are your passion. The key here is, you know, how do you discover those, and what do you do so that you can follow those passions? I've done this a few times in my life where I've followed my passions to the point of creating a business around them. And so I'm going to talk about that a little bit, but I'm going to take a pause here and let Paul jump in and see what he has to say.
Well, of course, I could talk for a few days on this subject, so you may have to calm me down here for a little bit. Because as it turns out, one of my passions is talking to people on camera. But I will make one interjection here, and that is sometimes your passion is something you can turn into a successful business, and sometimes it's not. You know, if you have a passion that it would be a real challenge to turn that into a business, then it may be that you're best, you know, leveraging that passion as a hobby or as an interest, you know, something in your spare time as an avocation instead of a vocation. You know, for example, if your passion happens to be knitting, then, you know, I can imagine only just a very few scenarios where you could actually knit for a living. However, you might be able to do a variation on that, like opening up a knitting or a quilting supply store, or working in a hobby store or something that's specialized in knitting material, so that you get an opportunity to talk to people about knitting periodically. Or you could, as an avocation or a hobby, you know, you could teach other people how to knit. You could have own classes and seminars and webinars, maybe create an information product around, you know, best practices in knitting or something like that. But it would be a challenge. There's a lot of people who are passionate about something that it becomes a real challenge to turn that into a full-time, you know, wealth-producing, retirement-enabling business. So you do have to kind of measure the practical aspects of following your passion versus, you know, versus the passion itself. So I've met lots of people, coached lots of people to say, you know, hey, I love your passion. I'm glad that you are excited about that. Here's a lot of different options that you have for following that passion. So
somebody from Etsy is going to give you a call, Paul. There's somebody on Etsy making a living knitting, and they're going to give you a call.
And I'm sure there is. I'm sure there. What I'm also sure of is there's not a million people on Etsy making a living knitting.
That's true. That's very true.
All right. Shane, talk to me about finding your passion, and what passions have you found for yourself?
You know, one of my areas of passion is art. I really enjoy creating art, and specifically I like carving wood. I love wood. I love building furniture. I like building things. And so I built a business around building hand-built, custom-built, hand-painted furniture. And in collaboration with other artists, we created a business, and we created amazing furniture. It was a fantastic business for me because I got to explore all those areas of design and manufacturing and the wood itself, carving, enjoying the grain of the wood and the finished product and delivering that product. And that passion I turned into a business that we turned into a really successful business. And it wasn't ever going to be a business that we were going to become millionaires. We sold millions of dollars worth of product, but that's not the same thing as taking home millions of dollars.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a business that I was ever going to get rich at, not rich in terms of dollars, but I felt very rich in the fact that I was able to do what I loved to do and was excited to get up and do that every morning. And unfortunately, I had a physical situation that took me out of that, and I had to reinvent my life. And that's part of why I wanted to talk about this is just because you have a passion doesn't mean that is what you have to do. You can learn and you can reinvent and you can find new ways to express your passions. And I would even say that finding my passion happened in almost every job that I ever had or any business that I ever owned is I love what now, unfortunately, his name is slipping my mind. The Dirty Jobs guy. What's his name?
Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe. And he says, bring your passion with you. You don't have to have a vocation that you are passionate about, but you can still be passionate in your vocation. He didn't say that last part. That's me. But anyway, Mike talks about bringing your passion to your work. And that's something that I always did. It didn't matter if my work was more in alignment with, Mike Rowe's Dirty Jobs, because I've been laying in the gravel, fixing equipment, in the rain and the mud, and I've done those dirty jobs. And I found my passion in those jobs by being able to take pride in the work, being able to take pride in the fact that not a lot of people are going to crawl under this piece of equipment in the mud or the snow and get covered in oil and grease to figure out what's wrong with this piece of equipment and fix it. And that's something that I did for a lot of years. And I took a lot of pride, and I would say that I brought passion to that I was going to do it, that I was going to solve this problem. And I saw the opportunity where most people saw it as hard and work that because it was so hard and dangerous and risky and high probability of failure frequently, that it didn't interest them. But to me, that all those things drove me, and I brought my passion to that. So there's a lot of ways that you can use your passions to drive yourself, even if you're not following a particular passion like knitting. You can use the skills and the things that interest you in knitting. There's certain values in that have drawn you to that, and you can use what's drawn you to that interest and leverage that to bring value to other pursuits.
I love it. So Shane, here's an off the top of my head question for you. What are your passions? What things are you most passionate about?
What I'm most passionate about is solving problems. I love to be presented with really difficult problems. So throughout my engineering career, that's what people bring me. When I was a technician, I was a lead troubleshooter, and then I was a field engineer, because the walking onto a site and here's a piece of equipment that you've never even seen before, and you've got to quickly evaluate it and figure out, okay, what's wrong with this piece of equipment? And I remember I walked onto one job site, and there was a new piece of equipment. They said it doesn't work, and I said, well, what does it do? So they told me what it does, and I said, well, who knows the most about this piece of equipment? And they said, well, you do. And so here was an unproven piece of technology to me. I mean, obviously it was a piece of equipment that somebody else had built, and they had, it's manufactured. Obviously it's supposed to work. But those kinds of things really thrill me to dig down and figure out what is going on. Why doesn't this work? And how can we get it to work? And so I think that's maybe one of my biggest passions is problem solving.
I love that. I love that as a problem-solving passion. And I know that you also have a deep passion for serving others, for especially the passion that you bring to Ascending Harvest is seeing the opportunity that we have to dramatically reduce world hunger, and at the right scale, with a couple of billion of these systems out in the world, we could even end world hunger by giving everybody the opportunity to grow their own food and making a dramatic difference, in society. I was talking to somebody just this morning about, looked at Forbes 400 most rich people in the world, and topping the list right now is Jeff Bezos with a wealth of 160 billion. If he would just take 30 or 40 of that billion and run it through Ascending Harvest, man, what a difference that we would make, in the entire world. Much less poor nutrition, or much better nutrition, less poverty, less stress. Maybe even governments could start to get along, and who knows, maybe even the Republicans and Democrats would start to get along. I know I'm dreaming, but there's certainly that potential, and I see that passion in you. You have said it many, many, many times about how you not only like to solve problems, but you love to serve other people and help other people who really need a hand up.
Well, I think my pendulum tends to swing over to the side of, if something's worth doing, it's worth overdoing. So, that's actually probably a little bit of a fault of mine, where I have, if I'm passionate about something, I will dive into it, and I think that's my AD kicking in, where I'll hyper focus on things. But I do have a lot of passions. I love art. I love creating. I love solving problems. I like serving people, and I enjoy one of my biggest passions. One of the things that I love more than anything, and where I've had my greatest success in life, is in collaboration.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that Ascending Harvest is built around. Ascending Harvest is built around the coordinated collaboration of a lot of moving pieces. This is not something that's easy to pull off, which is why we're doing a crowdfunding, because it requires a lot of energy, and it requires the energy of a lot of different people. It's certainly not something that Paul and I can do, because we need people on the ground in the places that are using our technology. We need agencies that are helping to direct aid and grease the wheels of us getting into those countries. We need manufacturers. We need marketing people. We need farmers. We need the end users to be engaged in the process of using the product properly. There's so many moving pieces in this business that we have to attend to, that the only way that it can be done is with the collaboration and the cooperation of a lot of people moving everything in the same direction. The way I like to say it is, let's all grab the rope and pull it in the same direction.
I love that. And let me just add to that. If you're listening to this and you have an idea that you think might be helpful to this mission that we're on, to dramatically reduce world hunger, to allow anyone anywhere to grow their own food, please share your ideas with us because we want you to be part of the team. We would honor your contribution just like we honor the contribution of the people who are members of our primary team or those partners that we work with to aid in the distribution of these products. I figured out something a few years ago, and it was simply came to me as, God doesn't give all the good ideas to just one person. You never know where that next good idea is coming from. It could be coming from your child, the kid next door, the old man across the street, or somebody that you've collaborated with in business. So if you've got a good idea, we want to hear it, and we'll do our best to honor that and leverage that to the benefit of the mission of Ascending Harvest.
Yeah, we look forward to all the people that we're going to work with on this project. I'm very excited. Next week, I'm going to meet with a charity group that works in the Congo. And they were really amazed when they heard that there's a technology that they could deliver to people in the Congo and people who've never grown food before, and it's a systematic way of growing food. And boy, could I talk about this passion all day long. Because this has been a technology that I have chased for a really, really long time. I conceptualized of the end product many, many years ago, but how to get to that end product and what that end product would look like, no idea, absolutely no idea to get to where we are, how to get to what we have today. It was just a concept of what if people who had never farmed, what if they could grow their own food? What would that take? What kind of a system would that take? And of course, I've been involved in the implementation of technology into farming for many, many years, but there has never been something like this that is economical and self-contained and has that systematic approach. There's been much, much larger automated systems. And when you think about it, all of our farming technology that we've created in terms of the machinery and seeders and harvesters and all those things, those are all technologies that have been engineered to take the teaching factor out of the process. For example, let's take a look at a corn harvester. So a corn harvester goes through the corn and it's stripping the cobs off the corn and it's husking the corn. I shouldn't say it's husking the corn. It's removing the corn off the stalks. It's windrowing the stalks. It's loading the corn into a truck. What that's doing is it's eliminating the labor to do it, but it's also eliminating the knowledge of how to do it.
Yeah.
So if you're going to do that by hand, you have to understand what to do. This machine eliminates the need to understand that. It turns it into a mechanized process. A drill that's drilling seeds into the soil, same thing. You still have to know how deep to drill those seeds, right? But the machine is doing it. The machine has supplanted the knowledge of how am I going to drill this seed down into the soil. It's taken that task over. And that's much the same thing that we've done with Ascending Harvest is we said, how does nature do this process? And how can we duplicate what nature does so that people don't have to understand how to set that up and how to maintain it? Let's just give them a systematic approach to growing food, and that's where we're at. I don't know how to make it simpler. We've got all of the water and nutrient delivery that the plant needs built into 3 simple steps. And it's human-powered, so it can be done anywhere. That's never been done before. And, that's a passion that I've chased for a really long time. And so I'm super excited to be building a business around an idea that started over 30 years ago And that is the power of passion. The power of passion is because it was such an interesting problem, because there's so many areas of interest in that problem for me, that I never let go of it. Certainly there was times that it waned and my focus was on other things completely, but it was always there in the back of my mind, and I would see an article, or I'd see a video, or I'd have an experience growing something. I'd be like, oh, that's interesting. And you build up enough of those, oh, that's interesting, and pretty soon you have an answer. Well, not pretty soon. It took 30 years. But but you will eventually have an answer if you follow it. If you study the life of Da Vinci. Da Vinci is someone who had a lot of passions, and he followed those passions. And it's a slow way to get to progress, but eventually, if you learn in the way that Da Vinci did, and that's what I've modeled my learning around, if you learn through that process of following different passions, eventually things start to click together and things start to cross-pollinate, and in the end you become, you have this ability to do things that have never been done before by following your passions.
I love that. So I love your conversation about the passion of creating systems, of engineering systems that take somebody else's years of experience and all of the talent and wisdom that they have, and putting it into a system that allows other people to do what they do. In our particular case, grow food without having any experience and very limited resources. That's a beautiful passion to have, especially when you're an entrepreneur or an inventor with a company, the chief technology officer of the company, as we have labeled you. So that's a very cool passion. I love it. We share a lot of passions, Shane, and I really think that we are attracting people who are passionate as we are about making a difference, in our lifetimes, about making a difference in the lives of many, many people out there. And I love that. We want you a part of our team. We want you to discover your passion. We want you to leverage that passion either into something that really excites you as a hobby or an avocation, or something that you can turn into a vocation where you can get up every day and do what it is that you absolutely love to do, because that will make you a healthier and happier person. You'll have a lot more positive energy in your life, and that will really pay off for you, for your family, for everybody that you meet, for decades to come. One of the things that I have learned as I get to be a little bit of an older gentleman is that health equals wealth. That if you're not a healthy person in your later years, you can spend all of your wealth just trying to survive and trying to minimize your pain and trying to have another good day. So tapping into your passion allows you to have much less stress in your life, which allows you to have a healthier and happier life, which really does pay off, both in the short term and in the long run.
Yeah, and I was going to say, we're talking to you. If you're here in the developed world and we're talking to you, you're watching this video, you have an opportunity to follow your passions. You are empowered and have the ability to follow your passions. And what Ascending Harvest is about, really fundamentally about, is empowering individuals in areas where they are not empowered to follow their passions, where we are going to provide them a tool that is a significant increase in not only filling their belly, but filling them with nutrients that gives them less illness. You can't follow your passions if you're sick. That turns on their brain function. Those nutrients fuel your brain, which fuels ideas, which gives you ways to leverage your passions into your own personal problem solving, and how you can change your community and your world. But if you don't have that nutrition and that full belly, it's really hard to be empowered enough to follow a passion. You're simply looking to survive this day, and you might not even be able to think forward enough of how you're going to survive tomorrow, because that's how immediate the hunger and the problem is and the poverty is. So we really want to be part of the Hand Up charity community, where empowerment is the key, where people are given the tools that they change their own life. And so we appreciate everyone that's come on board and helped us with our campaign, and we still need your help. There's a lot of work to be done. It's not an easy process that we're doing to empower people, but with your help, we will get there. So please consider contributing. Please share. Please figure out ways that you can not only support our campaign, but support other campaigns that are in the empowerment space, that are giving people the tools to get them out of their situation. And please consider adding nutrition to people's lives as one of those tools. And that's what we're really doing, is adding nutrition to people's lives.
I love that. So join us. Be a part of our community. Be a part of this winning team that makes a difference in the lives of so many people. We're going to make a difference in the lives of one person right now, because at the end of every one of these Zoom casts, we do a prize drawing. The way that you get your name entered into this prize drawing contest is by either going to ascendingharvest.com and giving us your email address there, or, and certainly preferable, clicking on the green button that's on our website and going to our Indiegogo campaign and contributing $1 or more. If you do, and when you do, you'll be entered into this prize drawing, and every day we give away a human-powered hydroponic system. We're giving away number 37 today. These systems will be delivered when we get into mass manufacturing, and our costs are dramatically reduced, which we now anticipate in the second quarter of 2019. And at that time, we'll either ship you a system, or you'll have an opportunity to donate one to a family in need in your name. Shane, what's the magic number between 1 and 10,000 today that will tell us who won the prize for today?
It is 6,084. 6084.
Awesome. I'll plug that into my little spreadsheet, scroll down a little bit, and here we have it. The person who won today is Ann Morgan. Ann, congratulations. You are the winner of your very own human-powered hydroponic system. We'll send you an email and that you can use to keep track of all this. And, of course, we're keeping track, too. And hopefully here in 6 short months that we'll be able to put one of these in your hands, or, of course, you can donate it to another family. And we're about 50-50 on that. Some of the people say, I'd like to donate mine, and some people say, hey, I want one. I want one of my very own human-powered hydroponic system so that I can grow my own fruits and vegetables, and or so I can just have it as kind of a memento of this great project that we are working on together. So congratulations, Ann. You got your own human-powered hydroponic system. Easy for me to say. Well, as much as I would love to speak for several hours about my passion and about the work I do as a life coach, sometimes helping other people discover their own passions and then find a way to leverage those passions in their lives, it's been about 30 minutes, and I think we ought to come to an end here today. Shane, you want to say goodbye and take us out?
Yeah, Paul, thank you so much for indulging me on this subject today. I appreciate it, and we literally, as usual, came into this subject with just a few minutes before the program, and I think we did a good job. I think we talked. I think we shared a lot about our passions, and hopefully inspired you to follow yours. And I hope part of your passion is helping empower other people, and if not through Ascending Harvest, find a way to help empower others so that we can live in a better world and more people can pursue their passions, and we can heal each other and heal the planet. Thank you so much for your time. Have an awesome day.
Bye-bye, folks. Talk to you tomorrow.